Good morning, everyone. This morning at Shacharit, one of our members came to Shul and asked if he could get an aliyah to the Torah. And the reason he wanted to get called to the Torah is because he wanted to make the Gomo blessing, thanking God for being saved from a life-threatening situation. But actually it wasn't for himself, it was for his son. His son lives on Kibbutz Erez, one of the kibbutzim in the south that was infiltrated by the Hamas terrorists. And his son ran into one of the safe rooms in the community, together with two other ladies. And they hid there as they heard shooting all around them. The son called his parents here in West Palm Beach and stayed on the phone with them as the shooting was heard here in West Palm Beach from these terrorists. Miraculously, all 600 residents were saved because the security guard of the community of the kibbutz, a fellow by the name of Amir Naim, managed to protect all the residents of the kibbutz. But tragically, he himself gave his life and was killed by the terrorists and was laid to rest yesterday in Israel. But all 600 people owe their life to him for his bravery, his courage, and his self-sacrifice. This young man, the son of our members, is now on the front lines, called up as a reservist. And so he called his father and said, "Dad, I can't go to shul to say the Goma blessing of thanksgiving to God for saving my life. Can you go and say it for me?" And his father broke down crying as he recited the Goma blessing, thanking God for his son's miraculous survival, and couldn't even finish the blessing, overcome by emotion and gratitude that his son is alive. We are in one of the worst situations that we've ever been in as a Jewish people in the state of Israel. But our tradition teaches us to always find reasons to be grateful, even under the worst circumstances. As a matter of fact, the first person to say Baruch Hashem, thank God, was Noach in this week's Torah portion. And yes, even in the midst of all of this, there's so much to say Baruch Hashem for. The unity of the Jewish people, the strength of the Jewish people, the love of the Jewish people, the solidarity that many leaders around the world are showing with Israel right now. And so we have to be grateful and see the positive, even in the midst of these terrible circumstances. To give you another example, there are constantly coming out stories of courage and sacrifice and love and unity, but just this last night, the World Jewish Congress announced a campaign because many Jews from the south and the north have to leave their communities to find shelter elsewhere in Israel. And so they're asking Jews around the world who own apartments or homes in Israel that are not being used to open it up for evacuees who need to relocate. And hundreds of families already around the world have said, here's the keys to my apartment, let those who need it use it until the war is over. This is the strength and the beauty of the Jewish people. But perhaps the most remarkable story I heard was just this week. There's a couple in Israel, Rabbi Doron Perez and his wife Shelley. Their son, Yonatan, was scheduled to get married this Tuesday. And they had to make a decision, are they going to have the wedding now in the middle of the war? And they decided, yes, we're going to celebrate life, and we're not going to give the terrorists another victory by postponing or canceling the wedding of our son. But the reason why this story is so remarkable is because while they stood under the chuppah with their son, Yonatan, on Tuesday night, celebrating his wedding, and I've seen beautiful pictures of the wedding, their other son, Daniel, was abducted and kidnapped by Hamas and finds himself now in Gaza. So imagine celebrating the wedding of one of your children, while at the very same time, your other son is a hostage in Gaza. And during the chuppah ceremony, the rabbi who was officiating mentioned the brother Daniel and prayed for his swift release. And everyone was crying. And the tears of joy of the wedding of Yonatan with the tears of sadness of Daniel were intermingled. And imagine the hearts of the parents broken on one side, missing their son, not knowing his whereabouts, their son Daniel, while celebrating under the chuppah the wedding of their son Yonatan. And this gives new meaning to the words of King Solomon that we just read on Sukkot. in the book of Ecclesiastes, where King Solomon says there's a time for everything under the sun. And he says there's a time to rejoice and there's a time to cry. And I've always understood this to mean that there are two separate times in life. There are times to cry and times to rejoice. But what Daron Perez and his wife Shelley showed us is that even at the very same time, you could be crying and rejoicing. This strength of seeing the good in the worst circumstances, focusing on what is positive, focusing on what we are grateful for, and celebrating life in the midst of this tragedy is what is going to allow us as a Jewish people to prevail over our enemies and to succeed. Because we are a nation that loves and celebrates life, love, and connection to Hashem, the Torah and our mitzvot. And that is our spiritual strength that will help us, as it has in every generation, overcome our present day enemies. Have a wonderful day.